Now in this video we will learn about the following topics. Define what is vCenter server and what are their features. What is vCenter server appliances vCSA? How we download vCSA from VMware website. How to add a record for our vCSA server in our DNS server. How to install and install vCSA on our Esxi server. And how can we access the vCSA from our PC, and how to add host on newly uploaded vCenter server. So I have installed VM workstation on my laptop. On this laptop I also install a 2SE Esxi server. On first Esxi server I have installed a Windows machine, Windows 2016 server, and in the second Esxi server I will install the vCenter server appliance. So in second server we should have very high resources like 12 GB of RAM and 450 GB of hard drive, because vCenter server required a lot of. What a vCenter is? vCenter server is a centralized management utility for VMware, and it is used to manage virtual machines, multiple Esxi hosts and all dependent components from a single centralized location. I taken this definition from Wikipedia. It is also support function like HA, DRS, vMotion, VDS, vSAN, SSO, Update Manager, Host Profile, vRealize, and many more. I have discussed all these features in my previous video in detail. If you want to know about these features, you can go there and watch these terms. Now vCenter first come as a software that was installed on Windows OS. Now the new version of vCenter come pre-packed as an appliance. So now we learn in graphical way what vCenter server is. So vCenter server is, what is vCenter server is? Basically we have to create a data center. This data center is nothing but a software defined data center. So in this picture I have drilled down I have created two data center. Now after creating the data center, we add our host in this virtual data center. Then we have on second virtual data center we again added our host, this virtual data center, and now we add all the virtual switches, storage, this virtual center, and finally we will manage all these vSphere components from central point, or it is look like a portal which is called vCenter server. Basically vCenter server is central point of location or portal where we can manage all our infrastructure. As you can see, I hope you can clearly understand what is the purpose and function of vCenter server. Features that require vCenter. If we don't that feature are very important in VMware, and that required VMware vCenter server. After installing the vCenter server, we uses the following feature of vCenter server, like vMotion, storage vMotion, high availability, fault tolerance, distribute resource scheduler, store DRS, and many more. If you want to know this term in detail, you should watch my previous video in which I explain all these terms. But after installing vCenter server, we got this feature enabled in our environment. So we have to have installed vCenter server to utilize all the feature of VMware. So vCenter appliance. What is vCenter appliance? We also call it vCSA. vCSA is the short form of vCenter server appliances. Basically, this is identical experience when using the vSphere client. It is look like a old version of vSphere client. Basically, it is pre-configured Linux-based virtual appliance designed to run vCenter. It is VM which is based off Linux operating system. It is easy to install and upgrade. It support native high availability without load. So let's move how we download this machine. Now open your favorite web browser and type here vCenter, VMware vCenter download. The first link is right click and open in new tab. As soon as new tab is loaded, you will see this page. In this page you have all the VMware downloads. For example, you can select version here. I am going to with Vsphere 7.0, which is latest version, and the older one is 5.0. Now we move down. In the second link we have a vCenter Server 7.0 update 2B. Now click on go to download. Now it will give you two options: download ISO file or download zip file. Always go for a ISO file image. As you can see, the download size is 7.45 GB, which is quite enough, and it takes too much time. So you need to just click on download now. It will ask you your username and password. Here you can enter your email address and your password. This is very simple email address. You can use your Gmail, Hotmail, or whatever free email service are available. I have already downloaded this image in my PC for saving my time, saving my and your time. So we will move to the next step, which is our installation. So as you can see, I am using VMware Workstation version 16.0, on which I have created two Esxi Server, Esxi Server 01, Esxi version 02, and a Windows 2019 server as a domain controller. So I move to my Windows 2012 server and send Control Alt Delete. I enter my credentials. As you can see on desktop, I have downloaded this ISO image of vCSA vCenter server. I right click on this image and click the option mount. It will mount a directory on my computer as a E. In this mount point, we have a folder which is called vCSA UI installer. I double click it and then I move to Win32 folder, and here I have seen a icon which is called installer. I double click this installer. It will launch the installation of my virtual appliance. So the first screen is covered. It have 4 options: install, upgrade, migrate, and restore. When you install your first Esxi vCenter server, you should click on install. So we have to click on install, click next, and accept the end user license. I accept and again click next. Now it will ask you some questions. Basically this is a two-stage process. In first stage, you have to put the IP address of your Esxi server on which this vCenter server will be deployed. So my first server, my Esxi server IP address, as you can see here, is 192.168.11.138. So I have to write it down: 192.168.11.130. To continue, click yes. So I have to click on next. So it will ask me the name of VM name. So I give him the name of vCSA. And so set a root password for this virtual machine.
Okay.
Now in the next step, I will choose which installation types we use in our installation. There are 5 installation types available in the Vsphere server, which is tiny, small, medium, and large. As you can see, in tiny installation we need at least 12 GB of RAM, minimum 12 GB RAM, and 6 463 GB of free hard drive. Also we can use 15 hosts and uses 100 VMs on that host. So we use tiny installation and select the storage size is default. Click next. We have to select the V data store on our available Esxi server. As you can see, it is capacity of 471, or you should click this option. Now again click next. Now it will ask for the network setting for our new Esxi server. So in this way I am using IP version 4, static IP address, and FQN, which is optional, and our IP address should be we copy this IP address. Our subnet mask, basically we are using class our default gateways, and finally I put my DNS. This DNS address this is my domain controller DNS. So I click next and I click finish. Now the first stage is initializing and completing. Now I pause the video and I will come back when the first stage of my installation is completed. So till then wait for. As the installation goes down, now we in the meantime we should add an host record for our vCSA server. For this you need to click DNS properties of your server, and in your forward lookup zone in labs.local, basically labs.local is my domain name. So I right click here and add a host record for my new vCSA server, which is 192.168.11.148. So I copy this IP address here and right click and create a host record, A record, and we called it vCenter Server Appliance, and give an IP address and add host. Now as you can see, vCSA, we can successfully added our vCSA record, so we can resolve this name to IP with the help of our domain controller. The installation is still in progress, so we will wait for it. Now as you can see, our first stage has been completed. Now we have to move to our second stage. So click continue. It will loading the stage 2 of our installation. Again click next. And here you can synchronize your vCenter appliance time with your Esxi server. Also here you enable SSH, so you can access from command prompt. Click next. Now it asks you the single sign-on domain. So the default domain is vsphere.local, so we use the domain default one. vsphere.local, and default username is administrator for this new created vCenter server. So here we provide the password for vCenter Vim 2008 @ join an existing SSO domain. We don't have, this is our first server, we don't have any vCenter server, so skip this, don't check this and click next. Uncheck join VM experience program and click next and click finish. Click OK. As you can see, we successfally completed this installation. So we can access our server by clicking this link, https://192.168.11.148. So you click on this link and open your favorite browser. So it will launch our fresh installation of vCenter server in my browser. Set as default. So a security certificate error is appear. Click advanced and click to accept, risk and continue. So this is the first screen which appear after installing your vCenter server. So you can launch this very easily. Just click on the link vSphere client HTML5. As soon as I click on this link, a page will appear. This is the first page of our vCenter server. Here we can add we add our credential like administrator @vsphere.local. Basically this is single sign-on domain, and we have to give our password and click enter. We can save this, so in our future we will save our time. So as you can see, it is loading. It will take time because it is very heavy machine. So as you can see, we have successfully installed vCenter server in our Esxi server. Reset to green. Reset to green. Now after installing the vCenter server, the first step is to add an virtual data center. So on this icon, right click and you have an option, add a new data center. So I click this link and give it name like home lab and click OK. After creating a virtual data center, now I have to add my host in this virtual data center. So for adding the host, I right click on my data center and here is an option, add an host. Here he will ask the IP address of my physical host, my Esxi server IPs. So I have given my IPs 192.168.11.134. This is the IP of my first Esxi server. So it will cast the username and password. So I have to give the credential like root and my password is and click next. Click yes, save, next. We don't assign at the moment license, so click next. Evaluation license and click next. And this is the lockdown mode. Lockdown mode is basically you can access your vCenter Esxi server from any computer or from the host, or strict means you can only manage and access your server from the vCenter server. So at the moment we are disable this feature, lockdown mode, and click next. VM location, we place our new host into our virtual data center. Click next and finish. As you can see in the bottom, a host is connected. It will take some time and turn into green, because as you can see from the down time, it is retrieving information from my host. So as you can see, I have successfully added my one host. Now I add another host. As you can see, this host contains my Windows 2016 machine and my second Esxi server, on which I installed my vCenter Server Appliance. So I also add this host in my virtual data center. On right click on my virtual data center and click add host, and give the IP address of my second Esxi server, which is 192.168.11.138, and click next, and it will ask my Esxi server credential. Click next, click yes, click next, and lockdown mode is disabled. Click next. VM location is home, lab, data center. Click next and finish. As you can see, home lab, it is adding second Esxi host my vCenter server. So it is 19% completed. So it's added my second Esxi server in vCenter completely. I expand this, and you can see this is the machine which I created right now, which is our Esxi server. Basically, this is our vCenter server which we have installed today. So in this way we can add as many hosts in our vCenter server. So now we have a single point of administration, which is vCenter server. So in this way we can add our host and manage our virtual machine. In this case we have two virtual machine, one in one host and another is another host. So this is quite long video, but it is very important to understand the concept of this video. So inshallah, I will see you in the next movie. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.